New cartoons, new fun. It's the way we get down. 30 minutes till kickoff. It's your boy DRS, Tom Vecchio, and it's Joe Lisi. The Dolphins and the Ravens on a Thursday night game. Looking at the latest tweets out there. Lamar Jackson, Tom Vecchio, no restrictions tonight. How are we feeling?
He's actually going to play. 7.5 lines where it's at. 51 total is super, super high. Certainly expecting points. I think most people would be anticipating the Ravens do 60, 70% of the work if that total were to come through, if not more. This is a big, I don't want to say measuring stick game for the Ravens, but like he's back. Time to get their offense back on track. They need to put up some points.
Putting up points tonight, Joe. We take a look at the lines. -7.5 and 51.5. Beautiful night down there in Miami Gardens.
Yeah, it is. That's why I actually like the under. This is one of the rare unders that I like. It's intriguing to me just because I don't think Miami can hang, especially if Baltimore, gets going and they put up 30 with Snoop Huntley last week. I think in order for Miami to win, they have to run the football, sustain drives. I lean to the under a lot. Again, I'm on Baltimore on the prop side. The only player I'm on is Devon Achane in the rushing attack right now for Miami. Looking to pick some other stuff up. I'm on Bateman receiving. He finally broke out with a solid performance, 51 yards. I think he could do 50-plus tonight with Lamar. And I'm going to take a shot with your guy, Donnie. Yeah. Keaton, not through on the ground. Keaton in the air tonight.
Ooh, maybe one screen pass, Joe, takes to the house at this point. I am looking for the Baltimore Ravens, Tom, as we know. When Lamar Jackson is healthy, one of the best regular season quarterbacks you can have on your side. And they're saying he is full go tonight, which brings me up to the first prop bet to look at. Of course, it's Lamar Jackson on the ground, 35.5 at this point. I like this number all day long, and I think he goes over his rushing prop tonight. I do.
If he's fully healthy, there's no reason that he shouldn't be going over this number, or at least be pushing close to. Like, if he loses, it's not going to be by.
Oh, he's up now, 240.5, by the way.
Okay, so a little bit of movement. And again, that is a good thing. This is, something I mentioned to Kevin last night, which is, this is a short week for the Ravens. It's not a short week for Lamar. He didn't play. He hasn't played in weeks. So he is, supposedly fully healthy. If he was questionable to play last week, or supposed to play wherever that situation was. If he's good to go this week, he really should be full throttle on offense, doing it in the air and on the ground. And that just makes the entire offense more efficient. So players should be coming through with more and more props.
Yeah, I look for a good ground attack tonight from the Baltimore Ravens, a couple angles to play out. But for me, I just look at Lamar Jackson. It was low at 35.5, and sometimes it just takes a look at one of those national guys that say no restrictions on Lamar Jackson. That number is going to go north at this point here. Other rushing props in this game here, Joe. Derrick Henry, 87.5. Devon Achane, 57.5. Some of those backups, Ollie Gordon, 20.5. Keaton Mitchell, 14.5. Mark Andrews, a half at plus 245 because they like to sneak him in sometimes in those short yardage situations on the quarterback sneak. Any thoughts of the big boys? Like I do. I think Derrick Henry rumbles tonight, Joe. I do.
Yeah, I just feel like, though, they got those other running backs involved, right? It's like almost like not running back by committee, obviously. He's going to do 85% of the work. But again, I worry about him putting up 100 in this game just because Lamar Jackson's back. And I think they'll run him early. But at the end of the day, I still think they look to push a little bit of tempo with the passing attack. Again, I mean, I'm on Keaton receiving, but I'd also would take a shot Keaton rushing tonight. Would you say it's 14.5?
14.5. I do. Like, you're really just asking for 2 carries because he sneaks those 3rd and 9 draws in and can pick up big yards at that point.
And not only that, if you really believe Baltimore's the side and they have a double-digit lead, Henry's going to be out of there. It might be Keaton in garbage time.
Yeah. How about you, Tom? What do you think of rushing game tonight?
I would say Keaton Mitchell, the backup running back, is very interesting just because if, like to Joe's point, if they are up, it's also, again, it's a short week for Henry. It is a short week for the rest of the Ravens, not a short week for Lamar. So if there's a chance to get up and to get Henry out, that has to be the plan for them overall. So I'm not opposed to getting, and it's a Thursday, like weird stuff happens. So I'm not opposed to looking at some backups.
Yeah, I wish I just saw Lamar like last week and could get a gauge on it because if he is full throttle and does what he does, like Lamar Jackson's passing prop tonight, 230.5. His rushing prop again was 35.5 most of the day, up to 40.5. At least looking at FanDuel right now. The touchdown passes, Lamar Jackson has had a lot of success in primetime football, throwing touchdowns with no interceptions. Over 1.5 at FanDuel was -168. Tua Tagovailoa over 1.5 touchdown passes at 108. Joe, any throwing or touchdown, or should I say passing touchdowns or throwing yards you're looking at from the quarterback position tonight?
Not on the Miami side. I don't think it's a shootout. I think it's more on Baltimore and Lamar. I would take a shot if you're going to play the passing props, Lamar through the passing attack, just because, again, I think they want to establish a lead. I don't think they want to play into Miami's MO, a lower scoring game. That's sort of what Atlanta did. And Atlanta did it backwards last week. They should have rushed on Miami. They put the ball in Kirk Cousins' hands, and it was totally
brutal.
The right type of game plan. So I think tonight they will run the football on that front seven of Baltimore.
What do you think of Tom? Passing props tonight?
My favorite prop is Tua under 32.5 passing attempts.
Yeah.
There's, again, first off, Miami's just not sustaining drives this season. He's been over this number only twice. And ultimately, a shootout is just not something I can see happening. Overall, Miami has a 60% pass play percentage this season that has dropped to 55 over the last 3 weeks. And if we look at these two offenses overall, they're two of the bottom three teams in the league when it comes to total plays run per game. So although Miami may be playing from behind, I think Baltimore is going to break off long 8, 9, 10-minute drives, and Tua is just not going to have enough chances to throw the ball 33 or 34 times. So I like unders on Tua. And as to Joe's point, I don't think if Miami's plan is not to beat them in a shootout, Miami's plan is to try and win this game 21-17, something like that.
4 tutties last week, by the way, by Tua Tagovailoa in the air. That was a really surprising game, and certainly gives you a little bit of life tonight because you're back in your home building. You're not worried about rain. You're not worried about wind, warmer temperatures. You should get a clean performance, which leads us here, and a lot of people asking questions there based on some of these tight ends and wide receivers. I still like Zay Flowers tonight. He Hard Rock this morning, he was like 64.5 at -125. He's been on the move all day. FanDuel listing him at 68.5 at -112. Waddle 65.5, that main option for the Miami Dolphins. But the one that, and I'm going to ask you this first, Tom. Mark Andrews, 27.5 to 29.5 all day long. You know Lamar loves him, but a lot of people are we getting baited into this tonight, Tom?
I would lean on trusting Mark Andrews before I trusted Flowers or Bateman. I may put Bateman ahead of Flowers. I mean, Zay Flowers maybe it's just a bias thing. I feel like he's burned me a bunch of times, but I'd rather take a shot on Andrews and Bateman with lower numbers and even Isaiah Likely before I go to Flowers. And it just might be hey, let's get the offense in rhythm. Let's just pick up some first downs, move things quickly, and go from there.
Justice Hill. Oh, then they got some guys all the way down the list. Now, Joe, Derrick Henry here is up from 4.5 to 6.5. Steam on the big man catching a pass tonight.
I took him 15 plus. I did 15 plus in a parlay with Bateman. That's my one big parlay. It's not big. It's plus 691, but I'm willing to take that shot just because Bateman does get targeted. I feel a little bit more, obviously, with Lamar in there. You know, you can go back to a couple of games. I think it was the game against Detroit. He had 7 targets, 63 yards, 6 catches. So, again, you know, I'm looking for that progression. Even though you can't have the guy out there just running routes and never target. It's always got to go to Andrews and Flowers. So I think it is Bateman tonight. But again, I took a shot, touchdown jackpot, Keaton Mitchell, 6-1.
Yeah, it's interesting, too, because you're looking at some of these other numbers here, like Malik Washington, 31.5, Achane out of the backfield, 32.5, Likely, 22.5, DeAndre Hopkins, 17.5. Anybody outside of those big-time wideouts, Tom, that you might be looking at tonight?
Yeah, Mike in the comments was asking about Washington, Malik Washington. The role is there for him. That it is with obviously Tyreek Hill out, but now also we know that Darren Waller's out. In 2 wide receiver sets, it's going to be Waddle and it's going to be Malik Washington. Achane obviously out of the backfield, but you look at Malik Washington, 36, 30, 22 over the last 3 weeks. He should be at that mid-20s range. That extra catch will push him over his number, but the targets will be there for him. It's about him just hauling it in and being a little bit efficient.
By the way, Joe, you take a look at it, a guy that you might be targeting, Rashad Bateman. His catch prop here, not bad. Over 2.5 plus money to plus 108. So you figure if he's going to get the numbers you're looking at, probably going to get at least 3 catches tonight. Mark Andrews, over 2.5, minus 176 price. So it is heavy at this point right now. Touchdown props, Joe. I know you got to get out of here in a few moments. Who are we looking at for the tutty tonight? Derrick Henry. He ain't getting it cheap. By the way, Derrick Henry will score, but most people don't want to pay the minus 250.
Yeah, so I told you, I took Keaton Mitchell 6-1. I'm on Bateman 3-1. If we're looking Miami, I mean, Ollie Gordon is staring me in the face. I don't know why, but I just feel in goal line situations with at least Baltimore's defense bouncing back in back-to-back weeks, they might go a little heavy goal line as opposed to Achane they turn to Gordon. So I don't think that's bad value either, guys.
How about a nice little punt return time from LeJonte Wester, 27-1 anytime touchdown tonight? How about that?
No, I certainly do like Ollie Gordon. He is the bigger back that they use inside the 5, inside the 10, and at the goal line. And we've seen that trend over a couple of weeks at this point. So I certainly would go there. Mark Andrews, I think, is fine to use for the TD jackpot. Rashad Bateman is fine to use. Isaiah Likely, I just don't know what to make of him. I think he's a good talent, but this is the first game that both him and Lamar have played together this season. And obviously looking at some of the sample sizes this year for the Ravens are all over the place with 3 different quarterbacks. It's tough to trust, who to trust just because we don't know what we're going to be getting from them essentially.
I'll just say one thing. If you want a crazy one, and Lamar hasn't played in a while, and if you're looking for a crazy touchdown score, Miami's defense, they bounce back. I'm not saying they're a dominant defense, but it was a much better effort last week on the road. They were opportunistic. If there is any ring rust playing at home, maybe you get a scoop and score. It's great value at plus 850. Out of all the defenses and specials, I would take a shot on Miami. Took a small one. I didn't make it the touchdown jackpot. But if anybody wants to take a flyer, I don't think anybody's going to have Miami's defense.
No, there you go. And that would cash in a nice, big, fat ticket at this point. All right, Lisa, what do you got, man? Leave us with some gems here.
I like the under. If I had a better side, it would be Baltimore. I just don't have any confidence in McDaniel. On Bateman over, on Derrick Henry over, receiving, Keaton Mitchell rushing and receiving, Keaton Mitchell anytime touchdown, and I did take a shot Miami defense, guys.
Bing bong, Joe Lisi.
Bing bong.
What do you got to go to that? Rayos? Where are you at?
Rayos. I tell you, we'll talk about Rayos. Those meatballs look amazing, all right?
Do. I was impressed.
I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, see you.
All right.
There you go. Lisi in and out, having some fun here with us. Leaves just me and Tom here, setting you guys up for a couple more minutes, going over some action this game tonight. But how do the side itself, Tom?
Yeah.
I'm sort of fighting myself saying, if I know what I'm getting out of the Baltimore Ravens, this should be a win by double digits. But also, I understand how hard it is still to play a football game on a Sunday. And it's not like you just took the train up to play Washington or Philadelphia. You got to get on a plane and go down to South Florida. That's a big deal in a short work week. But Lamar Jackson's set to be healthy. Do we know if he's going to be completely ready to go? And also, what are we actually getting out of the Dolphins? Because if you look at their schedule, yes, I sort of removed the Cleveland game. Horrible situation. Team just looked like trash. Bad weather. They just folded up shop. And then they come back and play almost the perfect game against the Atlanta Falcons. I'm like, what team do I expect tonight? So that's 7.5, which is staying there. I like the Ravens, but the hook is holding me off. I think the Ravens win by double digits, but I don't want to take that side.
It's a tough game. I'll say this for Miami. Last week versus the Falcons, the way I've been kind of phrasing is they kind of caught the Falcons with their pants down because Kirk Cousins was starting. And ultimately, if I had to make a decision, I would say what the Dolphins did last week was like a flash in the pan, and that's not an indication of things to come for them. That's just a one-game backup quarterback. But if you actually look in their games, outside of, again, week 1 versus the Colts and 2 weeks ago versus the Browns, 27 points in a losing effort, 21 points in a losing effort, 27 points versus the Jets, 24, 27 in a losing effort. At least they're scoring, right? They may be ugly watch and may be incredibly inefficient. They may not be sustaining drives, but they are putting up points. So there is a hope for them to keep it somewhat close. And the fact that you are getting the hook, it has me leaning towards the Dolphins. But again, as to your point, if Lamar played last week, I would take the Ravens by 9.5. I think they win this.
Yeah, I do think they do as well. Chops BX in there. FanDuel first and last guys that I miss it here. Touchdown props. It sounds stupid to me, but I do think Derrick Henry is absolutely rumbling tonight in this game. I think he does score, but again, you're not going to get much of a booster, a minus 250 price and sort of the opt-out. So, Tom, let Chops BX know, those touchdown guys you're looking at tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in on Mark Andrews for the TD jackpot. Yeah. It seems easy enough. I assume we also have to consider for the TD jackpot, like you said, it is first and last. Yeah. No one's probably betting Henry or Achane solo on the TD jackpot just because whatever the minimum is, no one's going to be putting that just on Henry solo. So I actually think those players will be lower. Flowers, Waddle, likely, and then people are going to drop down and try and outsmart the system with Malik Washington or Rashad Bateman. I think those are fine in their own right, but I like Mark Andrews. It's in the middle, and if we get a $10, $15 bonus bet, so be it, and you win it regardless.
Devon Achane or Derrick Henry to score the first touchdown tonight. You get both of them. It's a plus 155 price. I don't think that's bad at all. Jalen Waddle or Mark Andrews score the first touchdown. You get a little bit better price at plus 420. And Maddie's in the chat box here talking about, Devon Achane, Derrick Henry, and Zay Flowers is 3-1 with 4 touchdowns. Devon Achane, Derrick Henry, and Jalen Waddle is a plus 320 price at this point. I was almost hoping that they would throw in maybe, I would go Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, and then Devon Achane. I would love that as a spot to do that. Let me just see what they got. Scroll down at this point here. So Henry, Waddle, Andrews, Henry, Waddle, Bateman. Yeah, not giving you exactly what you want on that, but you can pick a multitude of people down the list.
Right. I don't mind the Achane or the Henry certainly makes sense. It's obviously not a huge number at 155. Achane, Henry, Waddle. That's interesting because if you would think Henry gets 2, Ravens are up. Miami's in a passing game script that puts Waddle into play. Achane would be there as well. I certainly don't hate it. I really don't. You are asking for a lot for 4 touchdowns. I would look to get involved in other props that way, but it's really not the worst bet in the world.
Tom, I love team props here, right?
Yes.
And we usually over 3.5 touchdowns, 2.5 rushing touchdowns. I want to ask you this question because I sort of rattled this in my brain, and I think I have the right answer on this. I didn't bet this tonight. But I do think the Ravens are going to score touchdowns tonight. I think the Ravens are going to be at least, let's just say, in the high 20s. There's a prop bet here, and I didn't check the number on it in the past 2 hours. But it was the best price I could find was on Bet365. The Ravens over 3.5 touchdowns tonight was a minus 110 price. Or, Tom, do you feel more confident in 30.5 at minus 115? Because to me, I'd actually rather take. I don't think there's any way they get 31 points without scoring 4 touchdowns. If they're going to score 3 touchdowns and 4 field goals, that's 7 scoring drives tonight. So that's what I'm saying. I was if I'm taking that bet, I think I'd rather take the Ravens to score 4 touchdowns than the team total.
Wait, so it's 4 touchdowns, not 3? You said.
I'm sorry, 3.5 touchdowns. Or would you take the team total at 30.5? The only reason I was saying is 3 touchdowns gets you to 21, and then you would need what? 4 field goals on top of that. I think that's a foolish way to bet it at that point.
Right, because at a certain point, if they have that many drives for 4 field goals, I don't know if there's enough time on the clock
drives.
to have 4 drives because even if there were, that would be short fields and or very long drives, and it just wouldn't equate.
Yeah. It was one of those almost like a brain teaser. It's which way would you go? And the more I think about it, it's they can get their team total and score less, but I don't see any world where it's worth kicking 4 field goals and scoring 3 touchdowns, which would be crazy. And for you to lose a prop bet on that, but I just think the over 3.5 was a little bit more interesting here. The total itself, Tom, is 51.5. I do think they should be able to get that, but it's, again, Lamar coming back. And what am I getting out of the Dolphins? Now, the Dolphins team total, I saw a lot of people popping up, Tom, 20.5. I actually think that does make some sense, but also you're weighing that Ravens defense what it was 3 weeks ago. There's so many more players back at this point. It's one of those brain teaser type games.
It is. I would initially lean under. I really would. The Dolphins have at least been scoring as we went over. They're putting up some points outside those 2 games. But again, a 30-20 final. 28-20 final, that's right at that number. So I would lean under. The fact that we're getting under 51 instead of 50, I think is important. But again, 28-20 final, I think seems very realistic, and even 30-20, it would, people would be dying by the hook essentially.
Yeah. And what's the funny part about it, Tom? The Kansas City Chiefs game on Monday night, I said to myself, you know what? I like a couple things, but I don't have anything that I really love. Because I didn't want to pay a price on Patrick Mahomes to throw 3 touchdowns. I said, I know he's going to throw 2, which he did. And by the way, he didn't have any at the half. Threw 3 touchdowns in the second half. Every one of the players that I like, certainly pinballing all the way around. So it's I left money on the table when I went to bed feeling pretty good about it. This is one of those games where I do have a couple wagers that I like, but I look at Lamar Jackson, he should throw 2 touchdowns, but it is expensive. I didn't bet that here. Lamar Jackson should be over the 35.5 rushing yards. That's what should take place. Derrick Henry, a legitimate chance to get 90 yards. There's a lot of stuff I stayed away from that I think are actually going to come. Zay Flowers, I like him over 68.5 receiving yards tonight. Yeah. If Lamar Jackson is right, you should cream that Dolphins defense. And again, Tom, last week, Kirk Cousins looked horrendous. No wide receivers for Atlanta. You could just focus on the running game. You can't do that against the Ravens tonight.
You can't. And a part of me is almost wondering if Lamar is right, do they almost want to keep their foot on the gas just for morale's sake? Like if they could win the game 21-14, why not go out there and try and score another touchdown on the field just for the sake of morale? Be like, hey, we are back. We are ready to roll, instead of kind of taking their foot off the gas. So that does have me interested in more overs. And I think there's going to be a really big opportunity at halftime when it comes to live markets, depending on how the game is going, because we'll know by halftime if this game is going to be having a ton of points or we're going to be in dead under and no one's alive for anything. I don't see a middle ground, really. I think this game is going to be great or it's going to be absolutely terrible.
Yeah, I put out on my site one because I do have a premium play out tonight, but I have a rushing attempt at 30.5 going over for the Baltimore Ravens. It's up to 31.5, so it's up a little bit higher. Their last 2 games, Tom, 37 rushes and 35. And again, if I think they're winning tonight, having success, that means some extra rushes in the second half. And also, some of those other games where it's like 19, 19, 17, no Lamar Jackson there. He's going to add probably at least 4 to 5 rushing attempts at that point. I think that makes some sense. If we're looking at the Dolphins, by the way, the yards tonight, 162.5 for the Ravens and 99.5 for the Miami Dolphins, Tom.
Rushing?
Yes, total rushing yards.
167, you said?
162.5.
162?
Their last 2 games, Tom, 179 and 177.
I just wonder how different
for me though, right? Because like last week I had the Carolina Panthers over 102 yards. I'm like, okay, I got a couple good running backs. I don't need to blow it open. Like, one, you're asking for like 160 yards, which when you try to formulate it, like, Derrick Henry has to have at least 80. Lamar's got to get 40. And then you still need a ton of yards behind him on some of the backups.
Yeah, that's certainly tough. Again, it really comes down to how because if you do like that, it probably means that the Ravens are covering.
Yeah.
So it's really that simple. Like if they're pushing to 175 rushing yards, let's call it, the Ravens are probably covering at that point.
Rushing touchdowns tonight for the Ravens, over 1.5 is minus 125. And for the Dolphins, over a half is minus 160, Tom.
The Ravens one sounds nice.
Yeah, it does sound
1.5 from 125. That's on Bet365?
365, yes.
That's a good bet.
You know what the funny part about that is too, Tom? It's a correlation for me that sometimes we use, right? Because you take a look at the game script, and 30.5 is the team total.
Yeah.
You figure they're getting 4. Can Lamar Jackson absolutely have, let's just say, let me just clear this out real quick. Can he have like a monster like game overall? Sure he can. But to me, it does sound like 2 touchdown passes, 2 rushing touchdowns at this point. Also, you can say to yourself, like, where are you going to get these touchdowns from? I do think it's a lock that Derrick Henry runs one in, but you can't say, you just bet there. Well, you got to bet 2 for Derrick Henry. I just want the whole team to get 2 as opposed to let me just bank on Derrick Henry getting the 2.
What was the game that he didn't score? They had the game that he was like minus
the goal line.
Yeah, it was.
It didn't work. Yeah,
or maybe it was the Cleveland game. I honestly don't remember that he was. And again, they put up 40 points and he didn't score. And obviously, their rush defense is amazing. But I like the team total one. I like the team rush over 1.5.
Yeah,
is nice.
It is nice on that. So we'll see how we can go. By the way, the people that pop up in the chat box with the spam, you can block them and it goes off the screen for me, but it stays on the screen, which is kind of whack. Like you should be banning somebody and it, flips over at that point there, at that point. For the game itself, Tom, match total specials. Passing yards between both teams, 460.5.
I'm already on a Tua under. I don't want to trust Tua.
I don't love it. Passing touchdowns tonight, Tom. It's 3.5, but you're plus 110, which means 4 touchdowns. And understand this. It's not 2 for one quarterback, 2 for the other. It's the punter can throw a touchdown.
Yeah.
I see that and say, it sounds like a 3-touchdown night. To me, it does.
Yeah. And the fact that you're only getting plus 110 is a little bit light.
Yeah. Rushing touchdowns for the game itself, 2.5 minus 110.
I like that.
It feels about right. It feels like 2 for the Ravens, maybe 1 for the Dolphins. And before you know it, it's like, hey, wait a second. The Ravens have no touchdowns and 2 got run in the first half for the Dolphins. Yeah.
Where does a pick 6 fall in there?
For what?
It doesn't count as a rushing touchdown.
No, it doesn't. No.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing counts for that. Either a touchdown pass. It'd be funny if it counted as a touchdown pass because technically it is, but that ain't going to happen at that point here.
Okay.
But that's it for tonight, Tom. We got some good stuff on the board. It should be an entertaining game, man. Ravens, Lamar Jackson back, some fun to watch it through.
And I will say, if you have any type of Ravens ticket, division ticket, conference, Super Bowl, like you are, like this is crunch time. You're going to be sweating every game from here on out. Never expecting to be at the spot with the record, whatever it is. you are pedal to the metal. You want to see 40 points from the Ravens tonight.
It feels like, too, like if the Ravens lose tonight, like their season is over. But if the Ravens win tonight, it's like, oh, they're going to win the division. It's a huge swing game. It really is. And same thing for the Dolphins. Like, people can get fired. And also understand this. Like, the Miami Dolphins lose this game. Trade deadline time comes up next week. Yeah. People are on the move for the Dolphins. So you might be seeing some of the—
I will say, prior to last week's game, there was a quote that Mike McDaniel said they were going to get Waddle involved in the offense. That did come through. Waddle's name, to your point, has popped up on trade rumors. This is a big game. Like, it could very easily happen where he gets traded after this game and after a big performance, the team wants him.
There we go. Ravens, Dolphins tonight. Primetime action on a Thursday. Tom and I, you'll be back Sunday with me, right? Full little slate here. Have some fun. No early games, so you can focus on the afternoon. Some good stuff, which includes the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs at 4:25. Good stuff, guys. Thanks for tuning in. 30 minutes till kickoff. Getting you ready for the Ravens and Dolphins. We'll see you soon.